Good morning to everybody out there in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to NoDQ Live here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel. It is 6:10 a.m. Pacific time as I begin this video. This is usually the time that I wake up, but instead I just watched a 4-hour WWE pay-per-view in Australia entitled Super Show Down. The Rock says, "Where's your coffee?" I do not drink coffee, so that makes things even more difficult for me getting up in the morning. I had a protein bar. Oh no. Oh shoot. Technical difficulties. Timeout. I'm back. Yes, it is early morning for me. Usually I turn off the other laptop or silence it because I was editing the video keywords. Ignore what happened there. Let's go ahead and get going with this review. Yes, the cat has already made a cameo in the video. I should have had some coffee for sure. But anyways, Super Showdown. It kicked off with The Bar versus The New Day for the SmackDown Live Tag Team titles. For the fans that were there in Australia, there was a countdown clock before the pay-per-view started. There was no kickoff. WWE just went straight to the point with the show. Michael Cole announced that there was 70,309 fans in attendance, which I figured WWE would announce something in that ballpark, 70,000 people, and that's what they did. I doubt there were actually 70,000 people there. There were some noticeable empty seats and empty sections. Cindy with a $2 super chat donation. Thank God the walk to the corn maze gave me a 5-hour nap. I saw those pictures, Cindy. That looked like a lot of fun, that corn maze. I got about 3 hours of sleep, I want to say. Maybe 3 to 4 hours of sleep. I may try to nap after this. We'll see. I'm not really that big on napping during the day, but I'll have to see how I'm feeling after this. Tony H says, I'm on an hour rest. And Victor E says, now you know how. Oh. Okay. Dylan Folk says, I slept from 3 p.m. to 11 last night. I'm good. Ryan says, I woke up at 5 right when it started. And Addicted Chip says, I had 3 hours of sleep. It was really the worst for the people that are on the West Coast. They're the ones that really had to get up early. And yes, I know people in the UK, they're doing that on a regular basis. Elias says, UK fans saying how we feel watching at 1 a.m. I don't know how you guys do it. If I was living in the UK, who knows if I would even be a WWE fan. I could have gone down an entire different path in my life because I like my sleep. I don't like being up at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. So very interesting how my life would have gone if I had lived in the UK and had to watch WWE pay-per-views at 1 or 2 a.m. I guess you guys are better than I am. What else can I say? William Losh with a $2 super chat donation. Undertaker and Nathan Jones versus DX confirmed. We'll get to that. We will get to that match. Wonky23 says this was truly a glorified house show. Well, you don't have glorified house shows. First of all, you don't have house shows with 45-minute long Triple H versus Undertaker matches. And there were a few noteworthy things on this show. But yeah, there were times where this did feel like a glorified house show. But let's go ahead and get back to the pay-per-view. New Day versus The Bar. It was standard. It was a fun opening match. I did enjoy it. Kofi Kingston, Xavier doing a lot of double team moves. Big E was on the outside. It was just your typical opening match, and it was fine. It was fun with these guys. Maybe they could have done a little more, but they were positioned in the opening match spot, so they went out there and had a fun opening match to get the crowd warmed up. So not much else to say about it. Kofi Kingston and Xavier did their double foot stomp backstabber combo, and that led to Kofi pinning Cesaro for the victory. This was fine. I think this was the only match I actually got wrong on the predictions. I think I was right with every other match. I thought maybe we would see the Bar win the titles, but once this was in the opening match spot, I figured we were not going to get a title change. And sure enough, the New Day did in fact retain the tag team titles over on SmackDown Live. Next up, we had Becky Lynch versus Charlotte. One thing I noticed about this show was that for the entrances, you had people walking down the ramp, and then before they even got to the ring, the next person started their entrance. It definitely felt like WWE was rushing things on this show a little bit. We did have a video package for this match, but not all the matches had video packages on this show. Originally, it was supposed to be a 5-hour pay-per-view, and it got cut to 4 for whatever reason, and that will certainly be a controversial decision, as I will mention later on during the video. Becky was really over, as you would expect. The crowd was chanting, "Let's go, Becky." It was very back and forth for the most part. It wasn't your typical match where the heel gets heat on the babyface and then the babyface makes the big comeback. It was more of Charlotte would have control a little bit, Becky would have control, and it would just go back and forth. But Becky did still play the heel. She attempted to leave with the championship. Charlotte stopped her. Becky did kick out of Charlotte's spear. Charlotte hit a second one and then put on the figure 4. She was going to get it into the figure 8, and that's when Becky used the championship for the DQ. So yes, a DQ finish on the pay-per-view. I'm not really surprised. In fact, I think I predicted this when we did our video a few days ago. I believe I said there was going to be some sort of shenanigans to set up a final match at Evolution, and of course WWE has to prove me wrong that wasn't the correct prediction, because WWE is doing this rematch, Charlotte versus Becky, on SmackDown Live this coming Tuesday. I'm a little surprised by that. I figured it would be Charlotte and Becky at Evolution. Maybe it will be. Maybe there'll be another screwjob finish. I'm very intrigued why WWE is doing this rematch on SmackDown instead of Evolution. But I did get the screwjob finish correct, predicting that this match was just going to have something happen to where there would be another match coming up. I just thought it was going to be an Evolution. And afterwards, Charlotte attacked Becky, but Becky then got the best of Charlotte, which is really weird too, when Becky, I guess, according to WWE, is the heel in this storyline. Charlotte attacks Becky after the match, and then Becky lays out Charlotte and hits her with an exploder suplex. So that was weird. All right, let's move on here. Next up, we had John Cena teaming up with Bobby Lashley, against Elias and Kevin Owens. Owens and Elias did their pre-match promo / song. Elias was playing Thunderstruck by AC/DC. He really didn't try to get the heel heat like on Monday. And I think playing Thunderstruck was definitely designed to get a pop. So that was a little interesting. Lashley came out with no Lio Rush. I guess Lio Rush not a big enough star yet to be at the Super Showdown. And then we had John Cena come out with his new merchandise, and he's got his hair like JBL. He's got JBL's hairstyle, basically. What did you guys think about John Cena's look, with the hair being smaller in size, less muscle mass, the new merchandise, which looks really generic to me, but what do you guys think about the new John Cena look? Cody says, I kind of like it. Caitlin says, I don't like it. And OG Crushes says, Cena looks like Mark Wahlberg. Simply Cindy says, midlife crisis to me. And Dylan Folk says Marky Mark the wrestler. And Miguel says he is going bald. So here's the thing about that. And by the way, Tony H with a $2 super chat donation. Thank you for that, Tony. The new Cena finisher is utter trash. I will talk about that. Don't worry about that. Tony says, what's up, Aaron? Just waking up to NoDQ Live. I'm doing good. I'm a bit tired, but I am doing well. Word Life says, how many years do you think John Cena has left? Who knows? I will talk about that here in a second. Regarding John Cena going bald, I actually think that he has hair implants, because I remember No Mercy, the match with Roman Reigns, and I thought his bald spot was way more noticeable then. I know he has grown his hair out, but I'm thinking he had some sort of implants. I think he was going bald a while back, and he actually looks better now than he did a year ago. So yeah, I think maybe Cena's putting some money into that. I wish I could do what John Cena did, I'll just say that. So anyways, the match, again, it did feel like a glorified house show match. The entire time it was Lashley in there, basically selling for Owens and Elias. John Cena made the hot tag and literally just did his 5 moves of doom. He did the shoulder tackles, he did the 5-knuckle shuffle, but then John introduced his 6th move of doom, the punch. Basically, it's just a punch, and then he pinned Elias, and that was that. That was the entire John Cena portion of the match. He just came in, did his moves, and won. Afterwards, John Cena cut a promo, and a lot of fans are wondering, was this a retirement promo? He said WWE would always be his home, but things are changing in his life, and he thanked the fans in Australia for allowing him to perform. I don't think it's a send-off. I don't think it's a retirement, but I think it is acknowledging the fact that Cena is starting to go in a different direction, and he's doing other things with his time now. His WWE career is winding down. I still think we'll see him every now and then at big shows like this one. Maybe he'll be at Crown Jewel. Maybe we'll see him at the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. I think we'll still see him around for the big events, but he's not going to be a weekly television character anymore. Those days are gone, and I think that's what this was about. I don't think it was him retiring or anything, and besides, even if he did retire and say, I'm done, we all know how that ends up. Again, I'll get to that later. All right, let's move on here to the next match, which was the Iconics versus Asuka and Naomi. A lot of tag matches on this show, I have to say. Teddy Long must have loved this show, by the way. The Iconics, of course, well, I was going to say they got a big pop, but they really didn't. They did get a pop, but I think it was a little overwhelming, or underwhelming, excuse me. They did a total babyface promo. They said that they were happy to be in their home country of Australia. Asuka and Naomi had a big entrance. They were dancing together. Asuka had the hair color that glowed in the dark. And yeah, Asuka is basically doing comedy now, dancing around with Naomi. Corey Graves even said, I don't know how this bodes for Asuka's career. I like when she used to just kick people really hard and not dance quite as much. I think pretty much everyone watching at home was agreeing with Corey Graves when it came to that line. Then we had the match, which was interesting because even though the Iconics cut a babyface promo, they pretty much worked the match as a heel. Naomi got the hot tag, but I have to say there was like no reaction whatsoever. And Arnstein just left an NOK. I don't know what that amount is, but it's $1,000. I don't think it's really $1,000, but whatever it is, thank you very much for it. I have no idea how much that actually is in US dollars. Been watching you for the longest time, but the first time watching you live though. Fantastic work, Mr. Rift. Greetings from Norway. Thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate it. I, again, have no idea how much that actually is in US, but regardless, Thank you very much for that super chat donation. People are telling me it's like $100-something, $120 US. So thank you for that. That is a very generous super chat donation. It is 6:25 a.m. in the morning, so I'm still a bit tired here. But that's really awesome. Thank you very much for that super chat. You made it all worth it, my friend. But really, just being here with you guys and chatting it up is a lot of fun. I do appreciate it. All right, so let's move on here, back to the match. And by the way, if you have any comments other than that, feel free to leave me a comment. NoDQ Virtue says someone has to fund Aaron's nature hikes. Yeah, pretty much. Ryan says you need to do a NoDQ 24-hour live stream. Oh, I forgot to mention, how many live viewers do we have, by the way? We're at 400, which is not bad. If we hit 500 tonight, I will sing Bree mode. I told you guys if we hit 500, I will sing Bree mode. Right now, we're almost at 400. I don't know if that really works in my favor, though. I feel like I do that, and I end up losing viewers because people don't want to hear me sing Bree mode. Dylan Folk is like, please do not hit 500. And like I said earlier, I think I got about 3 to 4 hours of sleep. I'm stuttering more than I usually do here. That's how tired I am. How was the show? Well, that's why you're here, to find out what I thought about the show. You're going to have to wait to get my full consensus on the show. I will give you my letter grade, though. I'm still thinking about it, actually. I'm still not final with what my letter grade is going to be for this show. But anyways, no reaction to when Naomi got the hot tag, which I'm not really surprised about because the Iconics were seen as the baby faces and the match was basically being worked like the Iconics were heels. Really didn't make sense. So I'm not surprised that Naomi got no reaction. The Iconics hit whatever their double team move is. I don't know the technical term for it, but Iconics won. That's basically all you need to know. Iconics did win in their home country, so there you go. Poor Asuka. She is not doing so well since WrestleMania. Again, losing a match to the Iconics. Asuka lost a tag match several months back, and she lost another one here. At least she didn't take the fall. Naomi did take the fall, but still. Asuka has definitely been on a bit of a downward spiral since WrestleMania. All right, let's move on here to the next match, which was AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. And a lot of people in the chat room, Brittany, saying that Asuka needs to go back to Japan to save her career. Nicola says Asuka should turn heel soon. Word Life says Asuka is done. Elite Deadshots says, yeah, she's buried, no saving for her now. All right, so AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE title, just over an hour into this pay-per-view. I mean, I would have liked to have seen it later on the card personally, but at the same time, with what happened later on the show, maybe it was best that this was earlier on the card. These guys did get a lot of time. This was a pretty lengthy match, and I thought for a WWE title match, it was really good. I felt like maybe the crowd heat was lacking at times, and it was a bit slow at first, but they did pick up the pace. I think Kayfabe Candy Ass put it really well. As good as this match was, it still didn't feel like as much of a grudge match as maybe it should have been. I think maybe they could have done a little bit more. Kayfabe Candy Ass says the match lacked intensity, too many holds, it didn't need any flashy moves, it should have been a war. I do agree with that. I think that it did come off a little flat in that sense, but I still thought it was very solid. Joe waited on the outside. I guess he figured since earlier on the show people were not getting their full entrances, he's like, you know what, screw it, I'll just stand out here. Joe even reacted, like as soon as his music went off, he's like, hey, I'm not even in the ring yet. But he stood out there, he waited for AJ, and then AJ ran to Joe. They started fighting. You had a chair brought into play. AJ started bleeding from the mouth at one point. So it did have its moments. There was a table brought into play, which was interesting. I mean, I'm glad that we got to see some stuff in the WWE title match, but later on in the main event, we saw more chairs, more tables, and maybe it was becoming a little excessive, but I'll get to that later. We had a table brought into play. AJ Styles put Joe through the table, and Joe was selling his knee, saying that his leg popped. Styles went after Joe's leg and said something like, "You don't mess with my effing family," something like that. I think he dropped an F-bomb. Whatever it was, it got bleeped out. Joe did come back into it. He put on the coquina clutch, but Styles got to the outside. This match was no DQ, of course. No DQ, no count out. So there was no break. AJ had to actually roll to the outside to break the hold physically. The referee would not stop it because of the rules. AJ hit a really cool looking springboard 450 to Joe's knee. Joe went for the muscle buster, but his knee actually gave out on him. So the knee injury really played into this match and how it ended. AJ actually got the win by submission with the calf crusher. Joe tapped out because of what happened with his knee, and this pretty much came off like the blow off to the feud. This guy with a $2 super chat donation. I just woke up. Sure, I didn't miss much info, me Aaron. Well, a really cool guy left a $121 super chat donation. You did miss that. So far, you haven't missed a whole lot. You did miss the WWE title match, which I did think was a good match. I was maybe expecting more. If anything, I still think I was a little disappointed for the reasons that Kayfabe Candy Ass said. I think this fell short of being an all-time classic. And I also said if we hit 500 live viewers, I would sing Bree mode. We're at 420 right now, interestingly enough. Tony H said this is still the best match on the card. Maybe, I'm debating that, but I'll talk more about that towards the end of the video and see what you guys think. But I'm on the fence about it as to what I thought was the best match of the night. But this was certainly really solid. All right, let's move on here and go to the next match, which was Ronda Rousey and the Bellas, or as I put on Twitter and Facebook, the Bells. Yes, it was like 3 a.m. when I sent that out, or 4 a.m., whatever it was. Ronda Rousey and the Bella Twins against the Riot Squad. Going in, when we did our predictions a couple of days ago, I figured this would be a pretty straightforward match. Rousey and Bellas would win. But then there was reports coming out that maybe there would be an angle where Nikki Bella would turn heel. And I thought, you know what? Doesn't sound like something WWE would do on this show. And I was right. It was basically a straightforward match. Not a whole lot to it. We did get a little bit of Brie and Liv going at it to play off of what happened on Raw a few weeks ago. It was basically Nikki, though, selling for most of the match. Ronda got the hot tag in, and it was pretty much like the same situation with John Cena. Ronda got the hot tag, did her moves. Although there was a little bit of a comeback by the Riot Squad. They tried to double team Ronda, but then she countered both of them and managed to put the armbar on both Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan at the same time and tapped them both out. So there you go. Riot Squad, you know, pretty much just putting over Ronda Rousey here, and that was that. I think there was maybe a little tease maybe of something between Nikki and Ronda, but it was very subtle if there was really anything at all. The three ladies celebrated, and that was that. Let's see what you guys thought about that match. Undertaker 575 says, "Can't believe you're still up, Aaron." Same here, but you know, gotta take care of business, as the song says. AJ Singh says, why is Nakamura not defending the U.S. Championship? Because WWE has too many people on the roster, and a lot of guys end up not getting TV time because there's just so many people. And the last thing we need is SmackDown being a 3-hour show. So yeah, there is a way to get Nakamura on, but not really a method that I'm a fan of. So I would just like the idea of putting the champions on TV. If you're not going to put Nakamura on TV, don't give him the U.S. title. That's my take on it. I would always have the champions on the show. If I was in charge of WWE, every single pay-per-view, you would have the titles on the line. The titles should always be defended at every major pay-per-view. And I know WWE's doing like the 6-person. At the very least, you got to have the champions on the card. If they're doing a 6-person match every now and then, like on this show, that's all right, I guess. But I would have the champions compete on every single pay-per-view. That's what I would do at least. This guy with a $2 Super Chat donation. This is why I don't like Ronda in WWE. No one can stop her. Yeah, that is a problem with Ronda. She doesn't have any strong competition at this point. Who do you put Ronda against? Now, I have talked about the obvious match for WrestleMania, Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair, and you could also do Ronda versus Becky Lynch at some point, but that's SmackDown. Who do you have on Raw? You do have Nikki, which I'm guessing is going to be the Evolution match. Sasha Banks is not around. Bayley is doing stuff with Finn Balor right now. You do have Natalya. So there are a few options left on Raw, but Ronda is quickly running out of credible opponents. Rousey versus Ruby Riot, they already did that match on Raw. I mean, there's no more Riot Squad Ronda Rousey. It's done. You could do Ember Moon. You could potentially have Shayna Baszler against her 4 Horsewomen buddy. Nia Jax, they did that already. Time to move on. Mickie James, I mean, you really don't have a lot of people lined up that have been really credible. Asuka would have been a great choice if WWE did not completely drop the ball with her, but, you know, whatever. Maybe Trish Stratus, never say never. Maybe Lita, I don't know. Let's move on here to the next match, which was maybe the match of the night. I know Tony H said he thought that the WWE title match was the best match, but I really enjoyed this match. Buddy Murphy versus Cedric Alexander. Murphy challenging Alexander for the Cruiserweight title in his hometown of Melbourne, Australia. This is what the Cruiserweight division has needed for a long time. A high-profile match where you care about what's happening and you have a loud crowd that is invested in what they're watching. This is something the Cruiserweights have needed for 2 years now, and they finally got it. It only took them 2 years to get a big fight match on pay-per-view that actually meant something. So this was great. I really enjoyed this match. Murphy was extremely over. Crowd was red hot for this. It was absolutely the right decision for Murphy to win the title here. Alexander had it for, a year now? And he was undefeated for pretty much an entire year. I think, he's been undefeated for a year. This was definitely the right decision. Very fun match. They went all out for this. They had a pay-per-view quality match. I thought this was fantastic. I thought this was the best thing on the show. I like this better than AJ and Joe. And did I like it better than the main event? We'll see. I'll have to maybe reconsider that. But I really enjoyed this. I thought that this was done very well. I don't know if it's going to result in more people caring about the Cruiserweight division, but this is what these guys have needed for a very long time. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, crowd was hot and WWE had this crazy idea to not kill the crowd by killing the hometown boy. Wild, huh? Curtis Butler says, had a strong indies feel to the match. It was good. Cindy says, looking forward to Buddy Murphy versus Brian Kendrick in the future. Big Marcus says, how many stars for that? I don't do stars. I'm not that guy, but it was really good. I think the guy that does do the star ratings, he'll probably give it 4.5, maybe 4.25. That'll probably be his star rating. Kayfabe Candy Ass says 3 3/4 goth babes. That's the Kayfabe Candy Ass scale for these matches. Virtue wasn't as impressed as me. He gave it 2.5 out of 5, so that's like a C. That's like an average rating for that match. Tic Tat Tat says 4.5. Tony H says Virtue needs more Roman. I really enjoyed the match. To me, this stood out. When you watch this pay-per-view 5 years from now, this is one of the matches that is going to stand out. In fact, this might be the match that stands out. So I think it was really good. I really enjoyed it. All right, let's move on here to the next match. The Shield versus the Dogs of War. Virtue says it was forgettable. See, I disagree. I think 5 years from now, people will say, hey, that was an awesome Cruiserweight match. To me, that was like the best WWE Cruiserweight match. Maybe not the best technically, but in terms of being on a big stage, 70,000 people, I think people are going to remember it 5 years from now. I really do. When you look in history at memorable WWE Cruiserweight matches, I think this is going to be at the top of the list in recent history. Virtue disagrees with me, but it is what it is. We'll probably talk about this on the NoDQ review if we do one maybe later on today. Put it up tomorrow. Virtue seems like he wants to debate it, so maybe we will. Kayfabe Candy Ass says they were hotter for this than the main event. Yeah, we'll save more of that debate for the NoDQ review if Virtue wants to bring it up. But anyways, the Shield versus the Dogs of War. Shield got their big lengthy entrance. They were wearing the masks over their faces. Shield attempted to put Strowman through the announce table, but Ziggler and McIntyre were able to stop them. The announcers kept bringing up how Dolph Ziggler wanted to prove that he was not the weak link, and well, Ziggler failed in this match. I'll get to that in a second here. Rollins took much of the punishment. Strowman actually went to the top rope and attempted a splash and missed. That was a bit awkward. Roman Reigns got the hot tag, and then in one of the little teases for a Dean Ambrose turn, Reigns accidentally hit Ambrose with a Superman punch. The Dogs of War surrounded the ring. Ambrose acted like he was going to turn against the Shield, but then fought with them, went after Strowman. Shield went for a triple power bomb. Strowman hit a spear on everybody. Ziggler did get a near fall on Ambrose, but Ambrose kicked out of the zigzag. And then an interesting spot that I actually thought was really creative. Strowman went to spear Ambrose through the barricade, but Reigns intercepted and speared Strowman through the barricade instead. I liked this. I thought that this was well done. I thought it was a cool spot. Ambrose then hit Ziggler with the Dirty Deeds to score the victory for the Shield. So yeah, Ziggler was once again the weak link, and I wonder if this is going to be the actual split storyline where Ziggler is betrayed by Drew McIntyre and there's a falling out between them. Because the announcers really made a big deal how Ziggler wanted to prove he's not the weak link, and then Ziggler goes ahead and loses here. So we'll see what happens. It definitely seems like maybe we're going to see a Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre split. That seems more likely than any kind of Dean Ambrose heel turn. And moving on here to the next match, Caitlyn says she also liked the spot. And was there a record scratch? There was no Ziggler music. It was just Strowman. And yeah, Renee Young did say "oh" a lot. And I notice it. And because of the fact that I notice it, it just gets more irritating. She needs to work on that. I definitely agree on that. The "oh." Dylan Folk says Renee is cute. Leave her alone. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about maybe the biggest WTF moment on this show. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. with the winner getting a WWE title opportunity. And as it turns out, that opportunity is going to be at WWE Crown Jewel. So, everybody thought this was going to be the blow-off match. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, WWE title shot on the line. Oh, excuse me, opportunity. It's still early in the morning. As did I. I thought these guys were going to have a good 30-minute match. I really did. I thought, you know what? Even though WWE made this a 4-hour show instead of 5 hours, maybe they'll go over a bit and Bryan and Miz will get a lengthy match. Because we only had about an hour left, and I figured, you know what? The main event's going to be long. It's going to be 40, 45 minutes. But Bryan and Miz, they're still going to get some time, right? Wrong. They got no time whatsoever. This was basically not even a match. Miz came out to cut a promo. Bryan quickly interrupted him, which makes me think maybe Miz was scheduled to actually cut a promo. I think these guys had their time cut. I think that's what happened here. This show was originally scheduled to be 5 hours, and it got cut down to 4. And I don't know why that was the case. I'm sure we'll know soon enough. And for whatever reason, this is the match that got the time cut. I don't know why. Maybe it just everything else was running long. It seemed like the show was moving at a pretty nice pace. So the only match that I felt maybe went too long was the Shield match. That match did feel like it went longer than it needed to be. But everything else seemed like it went the right amount of time. AJ and Joe did get a lot of time, but the match was laid out that way for them to have that time. The Shield match did feel like it dragged a bit. I don't know if that had anything to do with this, why this was cut so short. But basically, it was 2.5 minutes. Miz went after Bryan's ribs. He hit Bryan's running knee, and that was the one near fall that Miz got. And then Bryan rolled up Miz with an inside cradle, and that was it. Bryan won the match. The crowd was like, wait, what just happened here? And then they're like, oh, Bryan won. Yay! And that was it. Bryan celebrated, and the celebration might have been even longer than the match. It was announced that Bryan would face AJ Styles for the WWE title at Crown Jewel. This is really bizarre. I am definitely confused by this. If it was done intentionally, then maybe that means there's going to be one more Bryan and Miz match. Maybe Miz wins the Royal Rumble. Maybe Bryan wins the WWE title and we have one final match at WrestleMania. That could be a possibility. But yeah, this was really confusing. Everyone was pissed about this. Everyone expected a big knockdown, drag-out fight for these guys to settle their score. So we'll see what happens. Very bizarre. Tony H says Bryan versus Miz at SmackDown 1000. That would surprise me. I don't think we're going to see that. Dennis says The Rock wins the Rumble, so don't get your hopes up. Nope. Dennis is going with The Rock to win the Royal Rumble. We'll see about that one. Randy Orton did not have a match on this show. Victor E says that they botched the finish. I just think they were short on time. They got their time cut. That's basically what happened here. Virtue says Bryan banged his head. I would have to look back on that. To me, it felt like they just were short on time and they had to get to the point. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. If Bryan banged his head on SmackDown, I don't think Bryan would have been booked to win the match. But that's just me. Joe did not win the title because, as I said, AJ Styles is very close to a certain 434-day title reign, and Michael Cole made sure to announce the amount of days. I think it's happening, guys. I think AJ is breaking that reign of CM Punk. That's why Joe did not win the title. All right, so now let's get to the main event of the evening. Undertaker versus Triple H. The last time ever. Triple H came out. He had the NXT logo on his ring jacket, which was a nice touch. Undertaker had his big entrance with pyro, since this was a stadium show. WWE did go out with the pyro. We had the fireworks. We had the fire for Undertaker's entrance. And for those of you that were keeping track, Undertaker's entrance, no, it wasn't 15 minutes. I know we joke about it, but it was 3 minutes and 41 seconds. It was longer than the entire Bryan-Miz match, which was 2 minutes and 25 seconds. By the way, we're down to 330, so yeah. No Brie mode singing tonight. We have, tonight, it's morning. No Brie mode singing, unfortunately, unless magically 200 people tune in live all of a sudden. You would think more people would be tuning in with people waking up. But then again, like I said, I think that method isn't working. It's not going to work. Because every time I say I'm going to sing Brie mode, I end up losing viewers. Tony H with a $2 Super Chat donation. This, in 2018, was watching a AARP match sluggish. Alright, so let's talk about the match. Virtue says you lost viewers when you put over the Cruiserweight match. Maybe so. Let's see how people react to this. Michael Cole gave a history of all the different matches they did. Undertaker and Triple H had Hell in a Cell matches, which, yeah, I believe the 6-man Armageddon match. Maybe they did have the one-on-one match, WrestleMania 28. They had the Elimination Chamber match that they were in. They've been in all sorts of different matches over the years. I think Cole even brought up Shotgun Saturday Night. This is all good trivia stuff. By the way, the Undertaker entrance and Bryan and Miz, I'm sure that'll be a future question on Wrestling Trivia Challenge. For those of you that missed it, Greg Cherry made his big announcement, so check that out on the NoDQ YouTube channel to find out what's going on with the future of Wrestling Trivia Challenge. JoJo announced that the match was under no DQ rules, which, you know, I'm always up for a no DQ match. You guys know me. Undertaker attempted to do old school on Undertaker, but did not work out. Undertaker did old school to make everybody happy. Of course, you got to have old school. And of course, you got to attempt old school when you're not Undertaker to get the heel heat. Then this match pretty much got into the whole no DQ swing of things. They were brawling on the outside. Shawn Michaels started interfering in the match just because. He shoved Undertaker into the ring post. Kane chased HBK away. So, yeah, I mean, this was really weird. HBK's a babyface, right? Yet, he's interfering right off the bat in this match, trying to cheat on behalf of his friend. This was really interesting. But, you know, I guess, yeah, it's the old Shawn Michaels. I don't know. This whole thing was confusing to me, but Caleb Jacobs with an $8 Super Chat donation. Thank you, Caleb. Hell in a Cell, not Elimination Chamber. I think they were in Elimination Chamber. Somebody in the chat room, I'm sure, knows. I believe they were in an Elimination Chamber match. I don't remember which one off the top of my head. I'm thinking 2009 or 2010, somewhere around there. They were both in a chamber match. Brittany says Triple H beat Undertaker. Which one was it? Okay, 2009. That's it. Now, 2008, it was Triple H and Jeff Hardy. I was there for that one. It was Undertaker and Batista in 2008. Undertaker beat Batista at the end. So it had to have been 2009. It definitely was not 2008. I was there for that one. Yeah, David says it was 2009 when Triple H won the WWE title. Curtis says HBK doing dirt, how Christian. Yeah, this was weird. I don't know why HBK had to start interfering right off the bat. This match was really overbooked, and it was clear to me that these guys were having to work around their limitations. I mean, these are guys that are not young people. They're up there. Lots of gimmicks, lots of different spots, and you had the chairs being brought into play. You had the tables. Even though we saw chairs and tables in the Samoa Joe AJ match, they were still done here. Pretty much every gimmick to drag out the match and protect these guys, it was done. You know, they were hitting each other with chairs. They brawled in the crowd, and they were walking around for a long time in the crowd. Undertaker dragged Triple H like halfway across the stadium and then dragged him back. I mean, that really came off like time filler. Did we really need that? I mean, they didn't even fight. I mean, literally they were walking. Undertaker was dragging Triple H across the stadium. And they did this one spot. I don't even know how to describe it. It's on NoDQ.com, the little image of it, the animated GIF or GIF. And here in Australia, the ringside people have lawn chairs? Really? Lawn chairs. That was interesting. I don't know what to make of that, but yeah, the people at ringside were sitting in lawn chairs. But anyways, I think Triple H was trying to do like a pedigree, and I think the intention of the spot was Undertaker was going to back body drop Triple H on a guardrail that was out at the ringside area. But basically, Triple H did not go over Undertaker's back. He just kind of fell to the ground. Look at the image. You can see the animated GIF or GIF, whatever it is, on NoDQ.com. I have no idea what happened here, but it looks so bad. I mean, this really made these guys look old. The fact that they couldn't even do a basic back body drop spot. Caitlin says, I laughed at the chairs too. And Curtis Butler says, lawn chairs? LMAO. Yeah, everybody's just like, what the hell about the long chairs? PRJ says the match was a great throwback to the Attitude Era, great booking. See, I'm kind of mixed on this. You know, I did enjoy it. You know, I grew up on these guys, but at the same time, it felt like I was watching a 2000 Hulk Hogan Ric Flair match. You know, great nostalgia. These guys are pros. They know what they're doing, but it's past their time. They shouldn't be doing it anymore. I mean, I really think to like the Hogan Flair Nassau Coliseum match, like these guys know what they're doing. They're doing their whole shtick. It's nice and all, but they're old. And there's other things that we should be seeing instead. That's kind of my take on this match. I enjoyed it, but at the same time, it felt kind of sad. And these guys were really, their limitations were really showing. They had to rely on all the gimmicks here. Shawn Michaels did take some bumps. He got punched out by The Undertaker a couple of times. Kane did take a table bump. Shawn Michaels hit the Sweet Chin Music on Kane, and then Triple H did an elbow drop. It looked okay. It looked fine, but again, it did look, I guess the best word to describe it is sluggish. It did look a bit sluggish. Shawn Michaels would keep interfering in the match. Triple H actually had the match won at one point. He had the chair wrapped around Undertaker's throat and Kane pulled him out. Undertaker hit the tombstone on Triple H, but Triple H kicked out, and that's when Undertaker punched out the referee. So Undertaker's pissed off about, I guess, the referee counting too slow, so he takes it out on the referee, whatever. We had more interference. Like I said, this was really overbooked, where it was just constant interference and referee bumps and another referee coming out. Just a lot of things happening in this match, really overbooked, and I'm forgetting a lot of the details here, so I'm trying to remember everything that happened here. Just a lot of things going on here. Maybe too much. Maybe this was a bit overdone. Undertaker went for a tombstone, but Triple H hit the Sweet Chin Music. And if you guys listen to you go back and listen to the predictions video, I'm pretty much looking at it in a more simple way. I thought the finish would just be, there would be a ref bump towards the end of the match. Shawn Michaels would hit Sweet Chin Music on Undertaker, and Triple H would pin Undertaker. I'm just thinking in simple terms, but WWE just goes like times 10 with it, doing all these different false finishes and sledgehammer shots, and HBK hits the sweet chin music. Undertaker doesn't fall down. He goes for a second one. Undertaker grabs his foot. He puts Triple H up for the tombstone. Triple H hits him with the sledgehammer. Shawn Michaels hits another sweet chin music, and then Triple H hits the pedigree for the victory. So as you can see, they're just doing a whole bunch of other things instead of just keeping it simple. Which for some of you, you might enjoy it. You might get more entertainment out of it. But I think this match was a bit overdone. I really do. And I don't think it needed to be as long as it was either. Especially when you cut Bryan and Miz so short. I mean, I think this match could have been a good 10 minutes shorter. After the match, Triple H and Shawn Michaels hugged. Then you had Triple H help out The Undertaker, and the four of them raised hands together, and it felt like the curtain call, you know, everybody breaking character and saluting the fans. The pyro went off, and it felt like the show was going to go off the air. But then we had the little swerve where Undertaker and Kane attack Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Undertaker choke slams Shawn Michaels through the announce table, and that's the end of the show. There you go. Saudi Arabia coming up. Looks like we're getting that tag team match. Looks like we're getting Shawn Michaels coming out of retirement for one more match. These guys are going to go at it one more time in Saudi Arabia. Michael Wayne says it was a nice setup angle. And Big Marcus says Kane should look unmasked. Kane should be unmasked. If Kane takes off his mask, then he's going to be revealed as the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. I'm not sure if that's really the best idea at this point. Curtis Butler says it was an NXT swerve. Yeah, it was in a way, you know, kind of like acting like the show was going off the air and then doing the swerve. I thought that was the best thing, you know, the post-match thing with the choke slam and everything. And Shawn can still do a great sell job. You know, he's still Shawn Michaels. But overall, I know Virtue disagrees. I think I enjoyed the Cruiserweight match the best. I think it was the most polished. It was executed well, and it did what needed to be done. And really this too, the main event, you know, it is what it is. They're going to do their tag match. Shawn is coming back, and Triple RP says, why is Shawn wrestling again? It's all about the money. You know, Saudi Arabia, lots of money. Shawn Michaels likes money. We all like money. As Ted DiBiase says, one of the all-time great WWE characters. Ted DiBiase says it best. Everybody has a price. Even Shawn Michaels. So that's Super Showdown. Letter grade. Crown Jewels on November 2nd. I did enjoy the show. I did feel like it flowed nicely. I was disappointed with Bryan and Miz not getting a blow-off match, unless that was the intention. If Bryan and Miz are headlining WrestleMania, if Miz is winning the Royal Rumble, if Bryan's winning the WWE title from AJ Styles, then maybe I'll have a different attitude about it. But if this was supposed to be the blow-off match and they got their time cut, then this really sucked. But overall, there were parts of the show where it did feel like a glorified house show. But then again, there were parts where it felt like a major league pay-per-view. So letter grade, what do I go with this one? I am a bit torn on it. I am going to say it was overall a C+. I think it was maybe a little above average. But there were, like I said, elements of the show that felt like filler, felt like it was a house show. Mixed feelings about the main event. So yeah, I'm giving it a C+. And I'm seeing a lot of Bs. I'm seeing a B- from Victor, Sonic with a B, Shawn with a B, Caitlyn with a B, Cindy with a B-. So I think I'm maybe a little bit more negative than some of you. I don't know if it was worth getting up at 2 a.m. for. I mean, definitely check out the main event. There's really 3 matches you should check out. If you haven't watched it yet and you don't really care about being spoiled and you're watching this to know what to watch, watch the main event, obviously, AJ and Joe, and the Cruiserweight match. Everything else, I think, was skippable. Even John Cena's match was nothing to it. Tony Braden with a $2 Super Chat donation. Was this a show that had to happen in your opinion? I mean, I think so. I think it's a good thing to do a show like this in Australia and also test the waters. You know, for the longest time, international fans have been saying, when are we going to get a pay-per-view? When are the American fans going to have to get up early for a show? And this was it. Now, the question is, how many people tuned into this live in the United States and North America? That is going to be, I think, the real test here. If WWE is satisfied with the numbers, then this could open the door up for more of these international pay-per-views. So I think this needed to be done to test the waters and see just how many American fans will tune in at an early time. I don't know if I would want to do this again. Let's put it this way. If this was not my job, first of all, I would not have tuned in the first place. And second of all, knowing how this show went down and they do this again, if it was not my job, I don't think I would tune in early. I don't think it was quite good enough to watch live. Or what I would have done, maybe I would have just tuned in for the main event. I would have woken up at 5 o'clock and watched the main event, and that's it. I don't think I would have gotten up at 2. Definitely not. So that'll wrap it up for my thoughts on Super Showdown. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you to everybody out there for tuning in and checking out NoDQ.com. The results are up on the site. You can keep up to date with all the details there and all the latest happenings. I will be back maybe with the NoDQ review. That's up to Virtue. We may record one later. That should be going up. If we do it, it'll go up maybe Sunday. And then, of course, Monday, I will be back with NoDQ Live, and then Tuesday for another edition of NoDQ Live. So subscribe if you haven't already, youtube.com/AaronRift NoDQ, and I will see you guys next time.